Okay, so we'll begin. We're holding towards the end of Perek Tet, chapter 9 in Kohelet. Have a few more weeks to go, B'ezrat Hashem, in this series. We've covered a lot of ground, many important ideas, some ideas that he re-emphasizes from time to time. And tonight is a little bit of a continuation from last week. Last week, we left off with how insignificant Chokhmah is. In some ways, Chokhmah, if somebody is very smart, intelligent, has a master's, it may not do too much good for him in his life. All the hard work that he invested in going to college, going to school, and educating himself, eventually may not really assist him in his career, in his life, for a variety of reasons. His father-in-law maybe wants him in the business. He inherited some money. So all of a sudden, his plans changed. So Shlomo Melech reminds us that the Chokhmah is not the factor that will determine one's material success in life. The degree that one has, the education that one has, even though it's a means for us to survive, to pay our bills, and it's important. Rabbis tell us our father should teach a son a trade. So we're not minimizing that. Never did we minimize the importance of making an effort to educate ourselves. But Shlomo Melech says, don't think that that is priority number one. Don't think that that is the key to success. All it is a means to an end. But it could be that things will not work out the way you thought. Why? Because Rabot Machshavot Belevish, Vatzat Hashem Yitakum, as David HaMelech says, many are the thoughts of man. We have many thoughts and plans, but Hashem's plan may outdo us, may completely be different than what we anticipated, than what we thought of, than what we were looking forward to. Atzat Hashem is something that we're not aware of. We have our plans, and we should have our plans. It's okay. It doesn't say you're not allowed to have a plan. But just be prepared in case what you think is going to happen does not happen. It's because Atzat Hashem Hitakum. That's more important than anything else. That is what we should be focused. We would like certain things, we want certain things, but maybe things will work out differently. Why do they work out differently? It's not only because Hashem wants it so, it's because of what we spoke about many times, something called Mazal. The Marechet HaMazal is so powerful that it controls a tremendous area in our life. It's like a GPS, it leads us to where we need to be, and we can't really deviate too much from it. Therefore, in comparison to one's mazal, the chokhmah is meaningless. That's what he's been saying. Chokhmah is good, but compared to mazal, it's meaningless because the mazal is stronger than the chokhmah. The mazal will dictate. The chacham, if he's a chacham in Torah, in any other knowledge, that's very good. That's very special. It's important. But in the end, it's not necessarily that chokhmah, especially the secular chokhmah, that will guarantee if he will be a successful businessman, a successful husband, a successful friend. It has nothing to do with that. It may help him, but it is not a guarantee. So chokhmah compared to mazal so far is really second. So after we minimized a little bit the importance of chokhmah, now we come back and he tells us, listen, yes, Chokhmah is second to the Mazal, but Chokhmah is nonetheless something very, very important that we should pursue. Now he's talking about the Chokhmah of Torah. Now his emphasis is on the Yeda, the knowledge that every Jew should have about what Hashem expects of him. The knowledge of the Torah, how to conduct himself in life, what to do, how to react, how to deal with all kinds of situations. The most significant of all is how to deal with the Yetzer Hara. As we will see, that's what we're going to be speaking about today. The last few Pesukim are devoted to this major battle, to this major problem, major hassle. And for that, we need Chokhmah. There's no way else that we can deal with this tremendous issue, matter, whatever you want to call it, called the Yetzer Hara. So he says as follows. Even though I told you before that lo lachachamim lachem, that it does not necessarily mean that those who are wise will have bread, right? Even though we said that it doesn't guarantee that you will have a livelihood just because you're smart. Nevertheless, Gamzor Ha'iti, Chochma, Tachat HaShamesh, Ugdola hi Elai. Nevertheless, I did look into the value of Chochma, as he's told us various times. Under the sun means while we're alive. Ugdola hi Elai, and it is very important. This Chochma can be of a great help in life in many, many ways. What way? So the next pasuk begins to describe to us in a form of mashal. It's like a parable. He says, Ir ktana v'anashim ba me'at. Imagine a small little city with very few inhabitants. Uba eleha melech gadol. I'm first translating it literally. And a king has arrived, v'savavota, besieged it, surrounded it. Ubana aleh metzodim gedolim, and built up great towers to control it, to conquer it, to make it his. What is this Ir Ktana, this small little city? It's the human body. The human body is like a small city. Many, many things are happening in the human body. The human being is a small world. Today that we have very powerful microscopes, they are able to actually see the cells, the makeup of cells. You know how small cells are? And they are actually able to see, it's an entire factory. Every little cell, and we have millions. A cell, a small cell that can replicate itself, duplicate itself. It's an entire factory, and it's incredible. You can see its beautiful design. It's impossible that it just came about by itself. And we have many such cells. And we have various organs. And they all have responsibilities. They all have their duties. Each one takes care of something else. It's a small little city. And who wants control over this small little city that has few inhabitants? Who are the few inhabitants? The few organs, right? The hands, the feet. Who wants control over this city? Which king wants to take over this little city? Believe it or not, a big king. And that's the Yetzer Hara. It says, Uba eleh melech gadol. A big king. It's not an ordinary king. This is a big, powerful king. Powerful, and therefore, on a small city with small inhabitants, what are his chances of winning? Very good. Very good. Yeah. Rabbis tell us, Noach lo l'adam shelo nivra mima shenivra. It would have been better for a person not to be born than to be born. Because the odds are against him. It's incredible when you think about it. Such a statement by the rabbis.
Not to be born?
That you're better off not to, because from those that are born, not everybody succeeds in being good people. Because the challenges are great. Not everybody is strong enough to withstand the challenge. And many people succumb. You know what the word succumb means? They give in easily to the Yetzer Hara. To enjoy life, take it easy, push it off for tomorrow, what's the rush? All of this is giving in. Even though this is not a sin, it's still giving in because life is short. And if you recognize that you have a mission, how could you kill the time? Like people say in this country, let's kill time. How could you? But that's because the Yetzer Hara comes with a different agenda, a different plan. He takes over and he tells you what to do. And we don't realize that. That's what we're going to be talking about right now. So on this Ir Ktana, the Yetzer Hara, this Melech, wants to take control, and many times he succeeds, because as we said before, the odds are against us. Even though the odds are against us, it doesn't mean we can't. We have to be very careful with that. Even though the odds are against, it does not mean we can't. We can succeed. Many have. We can be like those that have. But be prepared. This is a powerful king. Can. Yeah.
For example, somebody today do an appointment for next week for something very important to me.
All right.
The person tell me, like, why not tomorrow? I feel next week I have time to prepare myself emotionally.
Well, it all depends. Sometimes we need the time. I'm not talking.
You
Yeah, obviously, it all depends what you're going to do with that time. You want to prepare yourself for an interview. You want to prepare yourself. You have other things to do. Yeah, we're talking in general terms. Obviously, every situation is different.
Okay, one more second. If you can all the things, because I think from last week, about you said mazal, but what about if ayin hara?
Okay, let's be careful not to go out of the subject. That already is a different subject, ayin hara, right? Let's try to stay on the subject. Right now we're talking about the Yetzer Hara. Okay? So this small little city is going to have a difficult time with the king who's trying to conquer it. How does he succeed in conquering it? So the Pasuk tells us only by setting up metzodim gedolim, big towers. What's a big tower? A big tower is usually built to defend it from outsiders coming to try to attack it, right? It's also intended, I wish I would not have to use this example, but anyway, the Germans built towers in the concentration camps to make sure nobody escapes. So a tower was intended for not having anybody come in, not having anybody escape. It's basically something that the guards need. What does the Yetzer Hara have to do with towers? So one explanation is these towers represent the habits that people have formed as a result of the Yetzer Hara's inducements, right? You know, we get used to this, we get used to that, and we get used to this, and habit becomes second nature. And what happens with habits? They become difficult to break. You're chained. These are the towers that the Yetzer Hara has set up in place to hold you, to control you through your own habits. And how does he do it? Once you get used to something, you're addicted to it. You're going to do it yourself without even having to convince you. This is what the rabbis tell us. יותר יצטער אדם על עבירה שעבר לא בגלל העבירה, אלא על פתח שנפתח לו. One has to be more remorseful or feel worse, not about the sin that he just committed, make mistakes, but about the opening that was just opened, that for the next time it will be easier. Because avira goreret avira, one sin leads to another. The Yetzer Hara says, I'm going to sit back, he's going to do it himself. A drug addict or an alcoholic, you don't have to offer him a drink or a smoke. He's going to go fetch it himself. He needs it. He wants it. He likes it. Whatever. Addiction is something terrible. Terrible, terrible. Destroys so many people. What is addiction? The Yetzer Hara has strangled him pretty much. Holding on very tight like a bulldog. You know, not letting go. Very hard. How do you... Can he let go? Sure. We've had people rehabilitate themselves with proper direction. It's still possible, but it's hard. Right? So these are the Metzudim. Anashim Me'atim in this city, the few inhabitants, is talking about not only the organs, it is also talking about, the rabbis tell us, merits. We don't necessarily have enough merit sometimes that can protect us from the Yetzer Hara. Rabbis tell us that tzaddikim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu protects them. Make sure they don't get into trouble. Make sure they don't make mistakes. Make sure they don't fall. Tzaddikim can still fall. It depends what they're doing. It depends where they are, with who they associate. I mean, you have to be very careful no matter who you are. But depending on the sin, on the gravity of the sin, person who was very careful with eating kosher, he's always very careful, Hashem will not allow him to make the mistake of putting something non-kosher into his mouth. By mistake. He always checks the supervision. He always makes sure that it's 100% kosher. Somebody like that, Hashem should allow him to make a mistake? No. Mistakes happen, we don't know why they happen. But for somebody to have been careful in an area, to make a mistake on that, no. That usually doesn't happen. But not all of us have enough zechuyot to protect us from all kinds of situations. So therefore we have to be extra careful, extra cautious that Yetzer Hara does not get involved. The best way, I thought, of explaining this, that is really, really, will illustrate this really, really nice, is through the immune system. Immune system is something very, very interesting. The immune system is there to protect us from all kinds of illnesses. The immune system right now is not working for me. I catch a cold. But it tried very, very hard. That's what the immune system does. It tries to protect you from invading forces, bacteria, viruses, everything. It tries to do its job. Hashem created this system to protect us. Now, how does it work? There's several parts to it. I'm not going to give you a whole lecture about the immune system, but I'm going to give you the basics. There are several parts to how it works. Number one, the immune system's job is to be able to identify friend from foe. Did everybody understand what I just said? Friend, enemy. Right? Be able to distinguish. He's having a Diet Pepsi. That's a foe. No, Diet Pepsi is not good for you. But anyway. Person is ingesting, is eating, swallowing something. Or something is coming at him, a wind. The immune system has to be able to identify if this is a friend, let him in, or this is an enemy, don't let him in. It has to know the difference. If it's an enemy, it tries to destroy it. Before it tries to destroy it, it puts up barriers, not to let them in to begin with. You're not invited. You can't come in. You don't have a passport. You don't belong here. Sometimes they get in. The enemy disguises itself. Yeah, it disguises itself. Or it's very powerful. And it breaks through the barrier. It overwhelms the system. Then what? Then, of course, the immune system goes out to attack it. They actually have shown through microscopes, powerful microscopes, they've shown the immune system taking over a virus, attacking it, going on top of it. It's incredible to see it. How it actually goes ahead and attacks it. You don't belong here. And of course, hopefully destroys it. So even if it's gone through, the immune system still tries to deal with it. Next, what about the future? It won. You think it has to do it all over again? The immune system also has a memory. It recognizes the next time around, the invader comes and says, "Hi, oh, it's you again?" No. And it puts up a fight again. So the immune system is very powerful. It has a memory too. It knows what's coming because of previous experience. Anyway, very interesting and powerful system that Hashem made. But this system, unfortunately, can sometimes collapse, can be overwhelmed. And that's why people get cancer. Cancer, Chas v'Shalom, what's cancer? Or any disease. It's a growth that does not belong in the body. It's a malignant growth. It's not benign, malignant, bad. It spreads, and the immune system can't stop it anymore. And they're trying to figure out how to, of course. When Hashem will let them figure it out, they may figure it out, but He doesn't want them to figure it out, obviously. Every generation has its diseases. But that's what is happening. The immune system can't control it. It loses control. It's overwhelmed, overpowered by the tumors. And becomes weak. Huh?
I'm sorry, that's part of mazal? The sickness?
Sickness could be either mazal or it could be decree from Shammai because of something he did recently. It could be mazal from the moment the baby was born. He already had this mazal that at age 44, this will happen to him. Or it could be a gezerah that Hashem decided this year on Rosh Hashanah, this will happen, Chas v'Shalom. We don't know always which one it is. Most of the time it's mazal. Sometimes it's because of his fault. He smokes. See what I mean? That's a third possibility. His fault. People can commit suicide. People can do terrible things to their system. That's the other possibility. Anyway. So this system can fall apart. The immune system. And because it can fall apart, a person can, chas v'shalom, be conquered. Right? That's what happens over here with the city, with the human being, with the Yetzer Hara. So what happens when the king arrives in the city? Shlomo Melech goes on that when the king arrives, he sets up his towers. Umatzaba ish misken. Even though matzaba appears to be that he finds, you can read it as, and it is found in this city. In other words, it doesn't have to be that the king has found him. Umatzaba ish misken chacham. And in this city where the king has come, there is a poor man, misken, is like bichari, right? Bichari, yeah, like meskin in Arabic. Yeah. Like pobrecito in Spanish, for those of you who know. Huh? Huh? I think bichari is the best one. Misken is the translation of that in Farsi, meaning that he has no mazal, no luck. That's what the word misken, you know, like a poor fellow in English. But he's chacham. He's a very smart man. Umilet hu et ha'ir b'chokhmato, and through his chokhmah, even though he's a misken, through his knowledge, he's able to save the city from this king. V'adam lo zachar et ha'isha misken, where nobody remembers, nobody is even aware that this poor fellow chacham even exists. What's going on over here? Who's the ish misken? Who's the poor fellow? In comparison to the king, to the Yetzer Hara, the poor fellow is the Yetzer Tov, the good inclination that we have. He is a poor fellow, weak compared to the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is very powerful, we said. Why is he such a poor fellow? Well, first of all, ulo bolet, as we say in Hebrew. He doesn't stand out. He's a poor fellow, meaning that he's not a big shot. He's not very charismatic. He's not very attractive. He's misken. Number two, he comes later. He comes at the age of 13, not at the age of 1, like the Yetzer Hara. 13 years later. But we get it at the age of 13. And this Yetzer Tov is totally not involved with worldly matters so much as the Yetzer Hara. He doesn't get involved that much. He's not into this world. He's more spiritual in nature. So he's a miskin. He's a poor fellow compared to this very popular Yetzer Hara. What's his strength? His entire strength lies in the fact that he's a chacham. He's smart. That's his big advantage. And because of his smartness, he's able to save the city. Why is he poor compared to the Yetzer Hara as far as general potential? Potential. Why is his potential any less? Despite his chokhmah, his potential is less because naturally all the Evarim, the inhabitants of the city, the limbs, the organs, will more readily listen to the Yetzer Hara. They will more readily listen to the advice of the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. Why? Because the Yetzer Hara speaks a language that they understand. What's that? Enjoy yourself. Have pleasure. That's the language of the physical body. Lay down. Oh, the back loves that. Rest? Yeah. Who doesn't like to rest? The stomach loves to eat. So the Yetzer Hara speaks their language. The language of the physical body, of the Hanaot. So even though this Yetzer Hara is a Chacham, he's still a Misken because his potential is not as strong as the Yetzer Hara. And unfortunately, he's a Misken because Chochmato Bezuya, as we will see soon. His Chochmah is looked down. He's not popular. As we will explain in the next pasuk, nobody cares to hear what he has to say, even though he's supposed to be a chacham. Imagine, they tell you he's a chacham. They don't listen to him. And nobody ever heard about it. He says, Adam lo zachar et ha'ish. What does that mean? Very few people in this world have heard about the Yetzer Tov. Imagine. There are some people who are successful in business. Yeah, there's something called the Yetzer Tov. What's that? Well, they may have heard of it, but they don't make any sense of it. Yetzer Tov, in other words, people have not actually sat down and listened to him. When would they have listened to him? Give you an example. Somebody has a deal. He's about to make a deal. He has an important meeting, okay? Where he can make an important offer, important business deal, right? So this relates to his personal career, his personal success, his personal benefit. He gets a phone call. There's somebody sick in the hospital. Could you go visit him? He knows you, he remembers you. It would be a big thing. You can give him some words of encouragement. If a person would be torn, what should I do? It's a beautiful mitzvah. If he's torn and hesitating, that means the Yetzer Tov is working on him. If a person has no hesitation whatsoever, and immediately says, oh, okay, forget it, I don't have time for it right now. Another time, right? He has this personal meeting that he wants to attend to. That means that the Yetzer Tov has not had any effect on him. He's not even familiar with the Yetzer Tov. Could you imagine? People who are torn, as we say in English, you know what the term means, to be torn? They don't know, what should I do? That's good. That's a good sign. That means he realizes the importance of it. He'd love to satisfy that too, if he had the time. But he doesn't know what to do first. He'd like to do both. Sometimes you can't. You have to make a decision. That's good. If a person is not even torn, and there's no hesitation to do that, that means there's no Yetzer Tov. That's what it means. He's not even familiar with the Yetzer Tov. And what about those who are familiar with him? They are torn because they're familiar with it. They also may make the wrong decision because they're not enough convinced or don't realize the importance of the mitzvah or the maasim tovim, of what they're about to do. So many people are aware of the Yetzer Tov. Many are familiar with him. But still, they don't always listen to him because they don't realize the value of what he has to offer. So don't think just because somebody knows the Yetzer Tov, he will for sure do the right thing. He has his own struggles, and he may make a mistake, he may make the wrong decision too. Doesn't understand the value of what is being offered. Nonetheless, he continues on to say, even though I just told you that the potential of the Yetzer Hara, of the Yetzer Tov, is not as strong as the Yetzer Hara, ואמרתי אני טובה חוכמה מגבורה. I still say knowledge, chokhmah, is more important, more powerful than gvura, than strength. What does that mean? Gvura, strength. The melech is strong and powerful. Yeah, still I tell you that the chokhmah can defeat him. Even though I just told you that the potential is not there in the Yetzer Tov. He came late, 13 years late. He's gotten the kid used to all kinds of bad habits, right? The mind of this child or this teenager or this adult is already with the hanaot of the pleasures of this world. Still, the chokhmah can defeat that power. The chokhmah can overcome that power. Why? Because chokhmah is the ultimate one, the ultimate tool that can defeat the Yetzer Hara. So don't give up. However, some people do. They want the easy way out. And unfortunately, that's what happens in life, is that the majority of the world doesn't pay attention to this. And because they don't pay attention to this, they don't realize what their true potential is, how much they can gain through chokhmah. That is why he he finishes off this pasuk by saying, "V'chokhmat hamisken bezuya udvarav enam nishma'im." In the words of this poor fellow, the Yetzer Tov, are not listened to. His words are ridiculed. People don't care about it, and do not go along with him. The best way to understand this is simply with a shiur Torah. Tonight, as you know, as many know, there's a shiur at 8:30 here. There's many shiurim in town, I'm sure, about all kinds of topics. And somebody has a ticket to go to the movies, or to a football game, or to a baseball game, or something else. He may want to go to that which is more popular, what's in style, where his friends are going. That will be pulling him more than the shiur. That's exactly what it means, the chokhmat, ha-misken, bezuya. The chokhmah of this poor fellow, the chokhmah of the Yetzer Tov, is bezuya, is ridiculed. It's not as it's not as popular. Yeah, it's not popular. Torah is popular. Unfortunately, it's not as popular. Yes.
Would you please repeat? I didn't get it. The chokhmah of Yetzer HaTov is?
Or the Torah is bezuya. Bezuya means it's not looked at favorably. Torah, it's primitive from 3,000 years ago. Yeah.
What about
I'm sorry to say it, but I'll give you an example. Take now somebody from Kermanshah. Why Kermanshah? You know why. Now, they didn't have that much Torah there. It wasn't a very big religious community with yeshivot. And you tell him, listen, your son, send him to a yeshiva. As soon as he finishes high school, send him to Israel to learn Torah. No, my son is going to go to college and become a dentist. Or whatever, right? He has to make money. Yeah, so you say that's fine, but first send him for 2-3 years to Eretz Yisrael to learn. He says, why should he waste his time to go to Israel? I send him for a month to see the country and go to a kibbutz to milk cows. Right? Why does he have to learn Torah? Why is that important? How should he know? I'm not blaming him. He doesn't know. He's the poor fellow. He's the miskin. Right? He doesn't know. But why doesn't he know? Because there was no Torah there. So they don't appreciate it. They will appreciate what the Yetzer Hara tells them, what is popular in the world. I'm not saying it's bad to go to learn a trade, but it is bad to look down at the Torah, because in the end that's what we're here for. How will he know how to be a good father, a good husband? How will he know how to be a Jew? Without Torah, it's impossible. But it's not popular. It's bezuya, Torah. That's something from 3,000 years ago. He said, really? Do you know how many people observe the Torah today? Oh, they're primitive. They're primitive, and you are more advanced than they are. Do you know that your grandfather was willing to die for this? Oh yeah, my grandfather was very religious, yeah. Now what about you? You're smarter than him? All of a sudden you're shaking them up a little bit. See? Yeah. First, this is nothing. You start reminding him how this was not bezuya for all our generations, for all our forefathers. Why is it bezuya to you? You know what the answer is? Because you don't know better. Nobody taught you. You're not to blame. Sit down, come and examine it yourself, then make up your mind. I don't have time. You don't have time to examine something that may be extremely important and precious? No, I have a commitment here, and my mother-in-law wants me to go to see her, and that's a mitzvah too. But you're going to lose the opportunity of becoming a chacham, of becoming a knowledgeable person, of being able to make decisions between right and wrong. Oh, I know already. I know enough. All kinds of excuses. And who's giving those excuses? The Yetzer Hara. They don't come just from thin air. The Yetzer Hara gives these kinds of excuses. This is not for you, Torah. It's only for big chachamim. That's another excuse, by the way. Not for the primitive. For the big chachamim, Torah, I support the Torah. I'll give money. Yeah, a little bit. but only for the Chachamim, not for me. Chas v'shalom. All kinds of excuses, yeah.
For example, you said Torah in Los Angeles, you can go 6 times a week, morning, evening, afternoon.
Okay.
You have everywhere.
Mechol, Baruch Hashem.
Now, if for example you have something else, it's coming once in a while, and you said, if I skip for this Torah, you will always be here. You need, like if I need to go to somewhere today,
Right.
I cannot come today.
Yeah.
I can. You are definitely be
Everybody is different. The more you have a set routine that you don't break, the better you are. The better you are.
It's one at a time.
Of course, if it's only once in a while, that's fine.
I
But
mean, a game, even if it's a game.
yeah, but a routine is very important. And you want to be careful that the routine is not interrupted for any reason. It has to be a very good reason. Namshich hala. The next pasuk, Divrei Chachamim benachat nishmaim. Okay, so we spoke about how difficult it is to convince the misken, the one that doesn't value the Torah. The Yetzer Hara is very powerful. How do we convince him nevertheless? There's one way. He says, Divrei Chachamim benachat nishmaim. The words of the wise are heard, have a better chance to be heard and accepted if they are said benachat, calmly, va'adinut, gently. Anything that is said harshly, anything that is said very bluntly and direct and rough and loud, yeah, people won't listen. A husband to a wife to her husband, same thing. You want your wife to make you your favorite dish for tonight? Your chances are better if you ask nicely and you say, please. Otherwise, she may be, not that she doesn't want to make it for you, maybe she's tired. You know, some dishes take several hours to prepare. And she's tired. But if you say it nicely, right, quietly, it's going to make a big difference than if you demand it and you say it roughly. Same thing with the wife to the husband. He may be in a bad mood. He just came home, he's tired. If she's going to tell him how upset she is, how tired she is, and complain to him, he doesn't want to hear that. He's just going to shut off, turn away, or react in a very negative way. She wants her words to be heard, then she has to be smart and say those same words in a very calm way. And if she's even smarter than that, she should wait an hour after he's calmed down and he's eaten dinner. Because the men, when they're hungry, they don't listen well. They want to eat. Yeah, that's a fact. I was just at a wedding. It was so funny. I saw the man's side and the women's side. The men, what were they doing? They were busy eating. And what were the women doing? They were talking. Right? They were talking about the dress and the flowers, and did you see what they decorated, how they did this? And all kinds of things that women like to talk about. It was so funny. I just like, oh wow. The man didn't care about what was on the table as far as the flowers. Nobody even noticed it. Right? Did you see the color of the tablecloth? I guarantee you most men did not pay attention to that. All they were interested in is what's next on the menu. Yeah, that's all. And when is it coming? Yeah, that's all it was. And as soon as they were done eating, they were the first ones to walk out. That's what they came for. Of course, they came to dance and to be happy, but they want to have a good meal too, right? Anyway, you want to convince somebody to change his lifestyle? The only chance, or a better chance, is to be effective is to do so gently, easy, not very harshly. Why is he telling this to us? Because even though the Yetzer Hara is very powerful, the words of the Chachamim, the Chokhmah of the Chokhmah has that power that we spoke about earlier, lidgaber, or ligvor, to overpower even the gvura, the strength, the power of the Yetzer Hara. Because it's coming from Chokhmah, and it's coming ba'adinut, and it's coming in a very, very specific way that will challenge the Rasha. And hopefully it will win. Yeah.
Oftentimes you have to rebuke someone, right?
Right.
When you're rebuking someone, if the person doesn't take you seriously, then you have to, I don't want to say this, but
No.
take it to another,
No.
take it to another level.
In rebuke, there's various rules. I'll try to make it brief. It depends who it is that you're rebuking. Some people, you're better off not rebuking. They're the ones that will not listen. They're the ones that you have no relationship to, and they will not listen, they will make fun of it. The rabbis tell us, כשם שמצווה לומר דבר הנשמע, כך מצווה לא לומר דבר שלא נשמע. If something will not be heard, it's the same way that it's a mitzvah to say something that will be heard, it's a mitzvah not to say something that will not be heard. But that depends on who we're talking about. If it's your child, you're the relative that you may have influence over them, then you're obligated to try more and more. If they're doing something against the Torah, you have to point it out at least once to them. Right? It depends on the circumstances. It depends what it is. Sometimes you have to try and try and try and try and never give up. But always keep in mind that no matter who it is and what it's for, it always should be gently. It always should be easy, not harsh. Even a father to a child who's very, very young, when he sometimes has to use a little bit more force, the rabbis tell us, "Leolam ki smol docha v'yamin mekarevet." Use your left hand to push aside. Use your left hand to say no, and at the same time, use your right hand to embrace, to hug. You said something negative to somebody, you may have to sometimes say no and decline, but make sure you immediately give them a hug or a kiss or whatever it is, right? To reaffirm your affection for them, that you really care about them, that you mean their well-being. So you see how you have to be smart in how you use musar, how you give musar, how you give rebuke, if you want to be successful. If you just want to yell or be mad, that's something completely different. But that's not what the Torah is all about. We want to be successful in our rebuke, we want to be successful in our musar, we want to be successful in communicating. Rabbis tell us, Dvarim hayotzim min halev yikantzun halev. If words come out of the heart, they have a better chance of penetrating somebody's heart. But that individual, of course, has to be prepared, has to want to. If that person doesn't want to, is completely closed off, it's going to be very, very tough. But never give up. Never give up. And you may need somebody else to speak to him. Sometimes people do better with other people. Yeah, that's how it is. Some people are too close for comfort, so you need an outsider. And it's always best to try to find somebody who's knowledgeable in that particular area that the person needs help with. Because if he's knowledgeable, obviously he will know from experience what to say. All right. So he's telling us that the Chachamim, the words of the Chachamim that are said benachat, is the only chance that we have to overpower this Rasha, this evil man, or this Yetzirah, by convincing him to change his ways. I saw that Yonatan ben Uziel, which is, by the way, the Aramaic translation to this pasuk, he has a different take on this pasuk. He's talking about how powerful the tefillah of the tzaddikim, the prayer of the tzaddikim can be. Even if their prayer is belahash, it's said quietly. A quiet prayer of a tzaddik can outdo the evil designs of a rasha. In other words, the rasha may have an evil plan. The rasha may have something that he wants to do that is not right. The prayer, even a prayer, he didn't speak to the rasha. The prayer of the tzaddik, the prayer of a mother when she lights her candles before Shabbat, and she puts tzedakah before she lit, and she prays for her kids, that prayer can go a long way too for the child. That maybe because of the mother or grandmother's prayer, a child or a grandson in the future will do teshuvah. Yes, this has happened all the time. Prayer is powerful. So that's a very beautiful, I think, interpretation of this pasuk that Yonatan ben Uziel adds to us. Look how powerful a silent prayer is. It's more powerful than the cry and the shouting of the biggest or strongest dictator, he says, of this bad king. So we always have to pray. We have to do our best, of course, to help people, but we have to pray for them. If nothing else helps, pray. What have we seen so far? In these few pesukim, a very, very important idea comes across. Yes, the Yetzer Hara is very powerful. Yes, we do have the way to defeat him. And that's through Chokhmah, and that is through Torah. All this is possible. It is true that it doesn't always happen like that, because Torah is not as popular. And the Yetzer Hara is the incumbent, as they say. He's been around for so long. He gets re-elected all the time, unfortunately. Nonetheless, Kohelet was very careful to point out, don't blame the Yetzer Hara, don't blame yourself, don't blame your habits, don't blame your nature. You have the ability, regardless of how you were born, regardless of what education you receive, regardless of your habits, regardless of your inclinations, regardless of your nature, you have the ability to overcome that. Nobody should therefore ever tell you, I'm stuck, I was born like that, this is the way I am, I cannot change. That's totally unacceptable. That's not true. Even though the Navi says that a tiger cannot change its stripes, right? A tiger cannot change its stripes, which means that certain things are not changeable, right? It doesn't mean that you cannot control yourself. It is true that we are born with certain inclinations. Some people are more stubborn than others. Some people are more stingy than others. Some people are more happy. Some people are more temperamental. Some people are more lazy. Yes, it's true. I mean, it's a fact. People have different midot, characteristics, different inclinations from mazal or from traits from the family. Makes no difference. We still are able to conquer them. Not to eradicate them. Can't eradicate it. You have it. It's in the system. Fine. We're not talking about eradication. We're talking about control. We're talking about discipline. We're talking about conquering. What's conquering? You're not going to change everybody to be like you. You're going to control them. Why have the Yetzer Hara, the king, control that city? You take over. And you can take over through Chokhmah. So this Melech that has come to conquer the city, which is the human body, can be defeated. The Yetzer Hara can be defeated. Unfortunately, it's not done because this war, this battle against the Yetzer Hara is not a popular war. Do you know that just recently, in the past, it's not a, what?
I can bring you some hot water if you want.
Yeah, I have it. They brought me, thank you. Only in the past couple of 100 years has a very important movement come out, and that is Nu'at HaMusar. Musar, morals, ethics. Even though there were great rabbis in the past who have written some books about this, there were very few. It was not taught so much as a subject. It was covered in between Gemara and Midrashim and so forth. But as a course in itself, as a book in itself, I think the oldest one is Orchot Tzadikim. There may have been some others. Recently we've had many. We've had a whole movement with Rabbi Yisrael Salante, Zechet Tzadik Livracha, with the Chafetz Chaim, Zechet Tzadik Livracha, who put so much emphasis on this tremendous area called Musar, especially so that we can rectify or improve relationships between Ben Adam and Chavero, which is lacking, which is weak, relationship between people. Jews were learners of Torah, Baruch Hashem, but they were not necessarily, did not always excel in areas of Ben Adam and Chavero. And for that you need Musar. There's a big Yetzer Hara. Rabbis tell us in the Gemara, Ruban begezen, mi'ut be'arayot, v'kulan be'avak lashon hara. The majority of the world makes mistakes and succumbs to the evil inclination of gezel, of taking other people's money. Doesn't mean highway robbery. Gezel could be cheating, could be lying about money, could be not paying overtime, could be delaying payment of a salary. All of this is gezel. People are careless in that area. They don't respect enough. So people need to learn Musar. People need to know how terrible Lashon Hara is. There was almost no book on Lashon Hara at all until the Chafetz Chaim came out. and wrote an entire book on the rules and the halachot of Lashon Hara. Zabun Bad, I guess you would call it in Farsi. I don't know. Is that the best word? Yeah. Yeah? Right? Lashon Hara. Bad, to speak bad about people. Yeah. People don't know, they don't realize how terrible it is to assassinate somebody's reputation. That's what it is. So anyway, so it is possible for every human being to control his nature. Yeah.
You mean people can change their midot, but they cannot change their mazal?
No. Mazal is something completely different. Mazal can be changed if you're talking about the destiny, the qismat, right? They can change that through teshuvah, tefilat, tzedakah. What I said that cannot be changed is the inherent khususiyat, the characteristic that you have that you were born with, right? You cannot change that completely, but you can guide it. Somebody who is a chasis, right? Is a stingy, right? He is able to train himself to give more charity, more tzedakah, and little by little, not have this problem. In his nature, he still is like that. But he learns Torah. He realizes the mitzvah that he gets for every dollar in the tzedakah. So, it's easier. It's not automatic. He sometimes has to think about it. It's not in his nature, but he's able to control it. That's what we're talking about.
And then it changed the mazal?
No, not necessarily, no. All right, so therefore, if this individual will go to Shiurei Torah, listen to Chachamim, acquire the Chokhmah, then he will have the strength to defeat this king, this Yetzer Hara, that has been so powerful all these years. People have made a U-turn in the middle of their life. Complete U-turn, even though they were doing the most terrible things, in complete opposite direction, and they've become what we call Baalei Teshuvah. That is proof that it is possible. If they can do it, anybody can do it. All right, we have another pasuk or two. Yeah, one more pasuk. Tova chokhmah miklei krav v'choteh echad yabeh tova הרבה. It's the last pasuk of Perek Tet. This chokhmah that we're speaking about is better than ammunition. It's better than armament, tanks, missiles. We want to conquer the city, right? How do you conquer it? He says, if you have klei krav, if you have missiles, ammunition, you're not guaranteed success. Look what America is doing all over the world. They haven't succeeded in Afghanistan. They really didn't succeed in Iraq. They didn't succeed in Vietnam. They barely succeeded, right? What's going on here? They know themselves that you cannot, with just power of the gun, defeat the enemy always. You need people on the ground, and how many people do you have? Right? It's very difficult. You have to be a chacham. You have to be wise. If you want to win, right? A lot of people win a battle, but they lose the war. They win a battle. Bakrav, but the war they lose. What's the big deal? You said you won a little battle here. They got rid of Osama. So what? There's still others. You didn't win the war. You won one battle. You want to win the war? Maybe there's a different way to do it. Anyway, obviously these wars are from Shamayim. And Hashem has His plan on why things are going the way they're going. But the point here is that he says Chokhmah is much more powerful than Klei Krav. And Choteh Echad, a sinner can lose so much. Choteh Echad Yabeh Tov הרבה. What is he talking about? A sinner can lose so much. Yes. So many individuals have a problem with self-esteem. You know what a lack of self-esteem is? They don't realize how special they are, how important they are, how much they contribute, each one in their way. People have a problem with it. Not everybody, they lack self-esteem. Every individual is important. That's why Hashem put us in this world. Every, as we say in Hebrew, every juk, every, how do you say it in English? Every bug, cockroach, insect, everything that Hashem made has value. It's important. Otherwise, He wouldn't make it. Human being who's the crown of creation, the more so. Human being. I don't care if he lives in Zambia and he walks barefoot, right? And he's a pygmy. He's short. He's special in some way. He deserves to live in dignity. He's beautiful in some way. The fact that he's created in the image of God is already something, right? People, not everybody sees it that way. Everybody contributes. Therefore, he tells us here, Choteh Echad. One individual who sins, it's a big loss. Because each one can do so much. If one person loses, we all lost. The whole world lost. In this, the Midrash, the commentators give the famous example of the Midrash, I think it is, of people in a boat. You have a lot of people in a boat, and one guy takes a drill and starts making a drill where his seat is. And they tell him, "What are you doing?" He says, "What do you care? It's none of your business. I'm drilling where I'm sitting, not where you're sitting." What's going to happen? They're all in the same boat. If you make a hole there, everybody's going to drown. The water's going to fill in. What do you mean? We can't mind our own business. This is our business. Every Jew has to be responsible for another. Every human being should be responsible for another. It's a disgrace that the United States and Russia and all these rich countries are sending and spending so much money to go to Mars when many people in Somalia and other parts of Africa are dying of hunger. Do you know how many people are dying of hunger? Kids? All this money being spent for nothing, really, nothing. No real good reason. Billions of dollars. And Hashem sometimes reminds them, the satellite does not make it. The rocket explodes. What a waste. Take care of the real problems. This is our world. We're all in the same boat. Each one is important. Therefore, when he tells us that each one can lose so much, he's reminding us how each one of us has tremendous responsibilities. Responsibilities because we are capable, each one of us is capable of having an impact, of being able to influence our surroundings, our family, our relationship with our spouse, with our kids. Each one has the ability to have an impact, an influence. Hey, you better do a good job. You can do it. You have responsibilities. You cannot just say, I don't want to have anything to do with it. You're here. That is why the rabbis tell us we have no choice to come into this world. We don't have a choice. We don't care. We don't want to be born. As we said before, we're born against our will. So, if we're here already, we might as well make the best of it. However, what happens in the end is that this choteh me'abed tova harbeh. The sinner loses out a lot. Why does he lose out? Because one of the biggest mistakes that people make, sinners make, is that the tmura is wrong. Tmura, I'm not sure what the English equivalent is for it, but I'll explain to you what it means. They put so much more value on the hana'ah harig'it, on the pleasure of the moment, versus thinking of the long term. So this is taking place. Instead of, in other words, instead of valuing the long-term goals of my nation, of my people, of what Hashem wants, people end up valuing the pleasure of the moment. Hanaha harigit. So how could you replace this with that? The tmura is not equivalent. The exchange, I guess we can call it. What?
The equation.
No, I think the exchange. Tmura means to exchange one for another. It's not an equal exchange. Tmura, lehamir, to exchange, that's the word. It's not equal, but people end up emphasizing or valuing more the hana'ah of this moment more than their children. They have to have the latest car. And they save their money and don't send the kids to a Jewish school, send them to public school. And then they complain that they intermarry. They're intermarrying my kids. What did I do wrong? What do you mean, what did you do wrong? You spent on yourself instead of spending on them. That's what you did wrong. But that was the pleasure of the moment. They didn't think too much. So that is why a choteh loses out so much. What I want to add, I have not seen anybody speaking about it, and I was surprised. I thought somebody would mention it. But maybe I have some zechut to think about this idea of what Shlomo Melech was saying. We have a tradition in the Kabbalah that anybody that speaks Lashon Hara, speaks bad language about another individual, or it doesn't have to be Lashon Hara. He insults him, or he does all kinds of terrible things against another person. The man who did all the bad, all this terrible talk, his merits will go to that person he spoke about, and that person who's the victim, his averot will go to the Rasha who spoke Lashon Hara. So when he comes upstairs, they point to him, these are all your zechuyot. That's it? I know I did more than that. You lost it. You lost it to the one you spoke Lashon Hara. Then they show him all his demerits, all his sins. I never did the sins. He says, you didn't do them, but you got them from the one who you spoke about. They gave them to you. So Choteh Echad will lose. He will lose all his credits. He may lose many credits if he commits certain sins. Another way of looking at this is that it does happen quite a bit. That if you did a very, very special mitzvah, very special, something unique, that day, within 24 hours, I guarantee it, almost guarantee it, that the Yetzer Hara will try lachtof et zeh, no, lachtof means to swipe it away, to take it away from you, to grab it away from you. How? By making you angry. If a person gets very, very angry, anger, and he loses control, the Zohar says it's like he worships idols. It's a terrible sin. The anger, especially of losing control. That has the ability to cancel or neutralize the mitzvah that you just performed. That's how bad it is. I mean, you may not lose the entire mitzvah, but it will not be the same. Be very, very careful. If you did something, you may be challenged immediately after, because the Yetzer Hara, the Satan, is jealous of you. If I'm talking about real special mitzvot, I can't, you did something very much, you went out of your way, I don't know, you big donation or whatever, right? Something very, very special that makes a big roshem lemala, big impression, comes along the Yetzer Hara, I'm going to get him, right? And he tries to, so be careful whenever you did something very good that you don't lose the credit for doing that mitzvah. Anyway, the commentaries explain, just to finish up, look how much we lose out as a result of the sinners. We lose out as a result of the sinners. Sinners meaning thieves, crooks. We have to put bars on our windows, some people do. We have to have courts, we have to have jails. And all because we want to protect ourselves from the thieves. Right? From the bad people. We lose so much. Right? We have to be so worried, and we lose so much because of the choteim. This is just an additional idea. Is there anything we can do about it? There's a long-held argument that the jail system is not the best system for criminals. Criminals should not be put in a boarding house with jam. They have to be rehabilitated. Bring them back into, if possible, if they're not dangerous to society, of course. The jail, the punishment is not always the best solution. Everybody loses out as a result of that. We have to be worried about it. Rehabilitate, educate, and hopefully try to prevent these things from happening. That is the power of deterrence. There's a whole argument today in Israel about the death penalty. Yeah, we should impose the death penalty. Terrorists. Deterrence is very important. We want to prevent things from happening. And not, otherwise they deprive you, all of these problems deprive you of really enjoying life the way it should be. All right, just to finish up, what we've seen here towards the end is that this chokhmah is really, really important. It's not something that we can do without. It's the only way that we can protect ourselves, protect our children, protect our marriage. If a person is a chacham, then hopefully he will get the proper guidance on how to behave in a marriage. If he has a problem, he will hopefully seek help. All of that is called chokhmah. He's smart enough to realize that this is a problem, and I better take measures to solve it properly. You know, they tell you, try to settle out of court. Be smart, otherwise your money's going to go down the drain with the lawyers, right? That's being smart. No, I'm going to show them, I'm going to teach them a lesson, I'm going to take him to court now. What for? That's stupid. That's not smart. You know, how many brothers and sisters fight over inheritance? You know, unfortunately, how much this happens in all groups, in all countries? That's not smart. All that money will be wasted on attorneys. They don't do the smart thing. Do the smart thing. But how could you do the smart thing if you don't consult with the Torah, with the Chachamim? That is why Chokhmah is the only way, the only keli, the only vessel that will enable us to overpower the Yetzer Hara, who's so strong and wins too many of the fights, too many of the battles. This Chokhmah, unfortunately, is not popular. And I'd like to finish, therefore, with, even though it's not so popular, I think Mr. Mahatma Gandhi, if you know who he was, said it very, very nicely. Let me quote to you what he said. And basically, it explains everything about something that you believe in, something that is right, something that is good, even though you're having a hard time for it, don't give up. Because he said as follows: first, they ignore you. Then they laugh at you. Then they fight you. And then you win. And that's exactly what we have to learn from it. That Chokhmah at the end, Bezat Hashem will win. Thank you.